And we're back. You're listening to the Exitology Unlock Your Profits, Unlock Your Potential show on the #1 global business talk and news network on the internet, IBGR, International Business Growth Radio. I am joined here today with Christopher Snider, the author of Walking to Destiny and the CEO of the Exit Planning Institute. And Chris, just a moment ago, we were talking about the perfect exit and what that looked like for these manufacturers and supply chain companies and really folks in industry and just all of these different aspects of it. And I wanted to remind folks that if you pick up a copy of Walking to Destiny, that there's a chapter that lays out what the perfect exit looked like and really goes into that whole story in a much deeper fashion. And I'd encourage everybody to visit walkingtodestiny.com and go and really experience that story. It's very powerful. So Chris, I want to dive into a few things here now that we've established, where some of these concepts came from and, what a perfect exit might look like for somebody. Just what is going on in the state of exit planning and the state of value acceleration and just what's happening out there over the last 10 years? And, what do you see going on out there?
So it's evolved quite a bit over the last 10 years. I went and got my certified exit planning advisor credential in 2008. So that was 15 years ago. Okay. At the time, I was one of the first 100 CEPAs in the country. I didn't own EPI at the time. I was a member of EPI. To give you an example, we bought EPI in 2012, my son and I. We had 180 members at the time. Wow. Today we have over 5,000 members. Yeah. Right? We had one chapter. Today we have 30 chapters. Yep. When I got into the industry, I was shocked to learn that only 20 to 30% of business owners are able to successfully harvest or unlock the wealth that's trapped in their business. And it's usually 80% of their net worth is locked up in their businesses. And I was just stunned by that. I'm thinking, man, you work your whole life, you bust your butt, you build this great enterprise, and then you can't cash it in when the time comes. I was shocked. And I was also shocked because as I was doing it for my clients, I would say my experience was the complete opposite. 70 to 80% of my clients, I might even push that number to 90%, were successful. So I kept asking myself, well, why are my clients experiencing the complete opposite of what's going on in the market? Right. And so I really began to study this. And a lot of it goes back to that perfect exit and all the experiences I had in doing re-engineering and working on the floor and doing all the projects I did. And I created the value acceleration methodology as a tool, as a process that owners could follow to really completely reverse their probability of being successful at harvesting their wealth.
So I love what you did here because listeners of this show, they know that a big part of why we exist is the same reason you exist. And that is to solve that question of you work your entire life only to find out that 80% of your wealth is still trapped in this business.
And you can't get it out.
And you can't get it out. That's a hard nut to crack. And a very big problem that needs to be solved, frankly. And so what I love about what you did was, so you actually went back and realized, hey, what are we doing differently here? Because our outcomes are they're tracked. We have a proven method. Totally the opposite. But to remind folks, here's how dire the state is. And this is why we also here at Exitology, I'm a CEPA. I practice the value acceleration methodology as well. And the reason why is because if you walk into a room of 40 people and all of them raise their hand and say, I want to exit my business, I come back 2 years later and I say, who's happy? There's one person left. This is not good. Right? Not good. So you went back, you really said, okay, success leaves clues. What is the process that we're following here that's working versus what the rest of the marketplace is doing, which clearly is not working. And what you did was you deployed into the marketplace the value acceleration methodology about 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what has happened as you've deployed that into the world and really grown this bench of people through the Exit Planning Institute?
Yeah. So, what I did, if 70 to 80% of business exits are not successful, meaning the owner's unable to unlock the wealth, what I said is, well, that means that 20 to 30% are successful. So
Right.
instead of studying the failures, I went and studied the successes. And I
Okay.
was looking for common characteristics between my own experiences with my clients, between my experience at Flexalloy, and just studying the market in general, those owners that were able to successfully harvest their wealth.
Mhm.
I found that there were several common characteristics among those owners. And I don't know that we have time to get into all of those, but they're in section 2 of my book. And
Perfect.
we describe it, we teach it as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right?
Yep.
So what I've discovered is that those owners that were successful is what I call them value creators
Mhm.
versus owners who are unsuccessful. And I'm saying not unsuccessful in life or not unsuccessful in generating income, but unsuccessful at harvesting the wealth. I call
Right.
those lifestyle business owners. And so basically what I write about in Walk to Destiny is how do you convert yourself from a lifestyle business owner to a value creator? And when you do that, you increase the odds of being able to harvest your wealth by a factor of like 3 times.
Well, and I think, so the important, and this is one of the most important things I think I could share with our audience is a lot of people go on this journey. You might be an employee and then you end up being self-employed and then you start to build this business and you think of yourself as an entrepreneur. But there's a big leap that most people are missing at that stage. And that's really at the crux of this. And that is to learn to be beyond founder, beyond entrepreneur, and into true executive and true business owner. And the difference is, can I sell my business or not?
Yeah. Well,
Right?
and selling, remember, there's different ways to sell. So we use the term sell loosely. You could
Yes.
sell to a third party. You could sell to a private equity. You could orderly liquidate. You
Yep.
could sell the family. You could sell the management. So the idea is to position yourself so that you have multiple options, right?
Yes.
That's part of what value acceleration does is
Yep.
it not only creates a leap in value, right?
Mhm.
It drives earnings. It drives your multiple.
Yep.
But it also drives options so that you have
Yes.
options on the table. Owners like having options, right?
All
So what we
day
do is
long.
we actually put you in a position where we've created options that you didn't have before.
So I want to play with a concept here, in terms of, especially with everything that you've seen, how has the cultural aspect of how baby boomers think about their exit, how is that different from, say, Generation X versus, now even millennials are part of the mix, but how do you see the generations handling this concept? Because I know, and they handle them different ways because their internal frame and how they operate in the world is different. So I'd be curious to your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question because I think this is one of the most significant trends in the market right now.
Mm-hmm.
So in my book, I updated all the market statistics. The private business value in the United States today represents around $18.7 trillion.
Wow.
On average, 60% of business owners say they want to exit in 10 years. 40% plus say they want to exit in 5 years. So you can do the math on that. We're looking at a $10 to $12 trillion run here of exits. And I actually think it's going to increase because what I've learned is that roughly about 1 million businesses have transitioned from baby boomers to another generation, mostly to Gen X. So
Okay.
10 years ago, 2/3 of the privately held businesses were owned by baby boomers.
Yep.
Today, that number is only 51%. Now, why is that significant? That's significant because, one, the average age of a boomer is going to go from 69 years old to 79 years old in the next 10 years. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be 79 years old and owning a business, right? They own over 3 trillion businesses. So we're going to see an acceleration in the rate of transition of those baby boomer businesses. What further is going to accelerate the transition is that the Gen Xers have a whole different set of social and economic values. They're more educated. The market is way more educated today than when I came into it 15 years ago.
Yep.
They're much more open to integrating exit planning concepts into the way they run their business every day. And they view their business as another aspect of their life, not their whole life. And so a lot of them want to exit. What they're telling us is they want to exit around 55.
Sure.
Right. And they're going to go from 50 on average age from 50 to 60 in the next 10 years. So I think what we're going to see is we're going to see this accelerated rate of transitions, both because the boomers are just getting much older.
Yep.
And the Gen Xers want to use the wealth that's created through their business to move themselves into a more holistic life.
So that's really interesting, because essentially you have two generations that are different ages, but in real time over the next 10 years, all of them are getting the itch to exit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. Help me out with, so that represents about 90% of people who are seeking an exit as far as business owners. What does it look like for the millennial generation?
I think it's too early to tell. Now they have a whole nother set of economic social values. My experience, they're very entrepreneurial, right? And they have a whole nother, but they're not the drivers right now. The boomers are still in the driver's seat. They control 80% of the country's wealth.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
But what we're seeing is we literally are seeing the age wave happening right in front of us.
Right.
Where the Gen Xers are coming in. So I think you're going to see, the average age of the owner now is younger. I think you're going to see a whole different set of value systems social and economic value systems that will be taking over as the Gen Xers begin to control the market.
Okay. Well, so this has been a great section. Maybe leave us with, put on your crystal ball and make one more measured prediction of what we might see here in the next couple of years.
Well, I think the biggest transition we're going to see is the amount of wealth. We're talking 10 to 12 trillion dollars of wealth potentially transitioning. Awesome. Right. I want to make sure, I think as an organization, as a community, we want to make sure that owners are able to unlock and monetize that wealth. That's our mission, right? To put them in a position where they can do that.
Perfect. All right, we'll be back in about 2 minutes here. You're listening to the Xtology Unlock Your Profits, Unlock Your Potential show on the International Business Growth Radio Network.